Well, Jacob, welcome to the Raw. Countdown to the big dance. Tell us how you're feeling and how the teams, I guess, pulled up after the weekend.
Yeah, really excited. Really stoked to get another crack at the final this year. I know at the start of the year, as a team, we sort of talked we didn't want to go with the mindset of defending it, but earning the opportunity to be back there to earn it again. So I think everyone's pretty stoked that we did that on Saturday against Barbars to earn the chance to come back on Tuesday and have a crack this Saturday. Yeah, a lot of excitement. Everyone's pulled up well after Saturday, so if there was any injuries, they've sort of mentally checked them out, so they're ready to rock and roll for Saturday.
And earn that right, I guess, to have Barbars in town rather than have to go out to Gore, which would have been a different sort of a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. There was a big one going into that game. We'd already played them in Gore twice under lights, which is probably the worst time to get Barbars on the draw. And I was saying to a few people beforehand, I think if you looked at our three games going into that game, the scores would probably be even, or there would only be 1 point between us. So we knew it was going to be tough, and getting them down here rather than up there was definitely a big goal. Yeah.
I think I'm right, but you're a Gore boy, aren't you? Do you get a bit of ribbon out that way, toppling the Barbarians?
Yeah, no, I'm a Gore boy. Yeah, it is a bit funny going up against some of the guys, that I went to school with and grew up with, but no, definitely enjoy playing against them. You know what you're going to get from them. They're a great bunch of lads, and they play a really solid brand of footy. Their set pieces unreal. Their defence is always rock solid, and we knew it was going to be a tough challenge, and really stoked in that second half to be able to put the pressure on and come away with the win.
So you did have to come from behind. So tell us a little bit about the feeling through that game. Did you think it was getting away from you at any point there?
I don't think so. They 8 going in 18-5 at half time, I think it was. It was sort of, they accumulated their points really well in that first half, taking penalties when they were off and scoring a couple of good tries. But I guess the feeling at half time was knowing that we were still in it and not giving up at that point. So the way that, and having GD and Jay and some of those guys in the back line that just have that experience and that control to be able to, maintain consistent pressure, play in the right areas of the field, and then for our full pack just to be able to win set piece and build those points in that second half and keep the pressure on it was a really good team performance.
Because the build up to that game had been a little bit mixed, hadn't it? Well, I guess with the change in personnel you'd had over those sort of couple of weeks.
Yeah. There was we took a couple of injuries from that Woodlands game into that final round robin game against Star, so we sort of knew that we sort of had to flush that performance from the week before and build again, knowing that we had some cattle coming back. So there was a bit of disruption there, but I guess coming into the Tuesday and Thursday beforehand, we knew where Barbars were going to be strong and what we were going to have to do to get over top of them.
I guess what surprised a lot of people, and I think even the Barbarians talking to them, was the improvement in your scrum from the last time you played them. I think they put 8 year guys under a lot of pressure, didn't they? Was there a lot of emphasis on that before the game? Yeah,
there was a big focus on that. I think it's a real luxury to have Bacon as a coach, being a great scrummager in his day, and the experience and knowledge that he has in that area. I think there was a comment made by a Barbars supporter in our earlier games about learning to scrum that sort of gave us motivation going into that final game. And
you got to love those ones that stick in the mind, right? Yeah.
So that was brought up a couple of times during the week, but definitely a big ups to our front row, like JJ Fisher. He's a young fella going up against Morgan Mitchell and more than held his own in that first half. We were able to win a scrum penalty, and I think that did a lot for our confidence. Then having Rick Gage with a bit of experience and Josh Harwood and Tua to come on with that experience at hooker, and it was unreal to come out of that game knowing that we didn't get dominated at scrum time.
I was going to mention this because you're almost revolutionising the playing 23 with carrying 3 hookers in the 23 and using all 3 of them at hooker, obviously you got Josh Harwood, who's probably one of the more underrated players going around, isn't he? And Sean Kempton, who played New Zealand secondary schools last year, and then obviously Tuapata, who's former Fijian international. But you used all three of them, and it was obviously quite effective.
Yeah, I think we've actually got 4 hookers in there with Alex Friday, who was originally a hooker, and he's now sort of taken a role at being able to cover prop as well. But I think just the luxury of Sean and Josh, both they're quite dynamic players, so they've sort of got the ability to play in the loose and you don't miss anything there. And then just having Tua with all of his experience to come in at hooker if needed, and then like I said, Alex can cover there as well. So plenty of options if someone's having an off day throwing. Yeah.
There's obviously there's great depth at the club, and I guess part of the reason for that depth is a culture that's been built there. Can you tell us a bit about sort of, I guess, what it's like to play for Pirates Old Boys and just what that culture is like?
Yeah, it's awesome. That's another thing that we talked about at the start of the year was we don't want to build just a premier team, but we want to build a club. And I think I started with the club a couple of years ago, and coming in and on a Saturday after the game, or even Saturday at the game, the amount of supporters that are there, the amount of people that stick around in the club rooms afterwards, and it's all ages and stages. Like you've got the old Pirates guys that turn up with a box and watch them come into the club rooms on Saturday. You've got older players with their families, and families are feeling welcome to come in on a Saturday, and then you've got all the mates and that stick around. I think it's a really special culture, and it's somewhere that everyone feels included, and I think that's the key. And as a result of that, we've seen our player numbers just sort of continuously grow, being somewhere that people want to play. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's all good having good players, but the strength of a club is in their team and their unity, I guess. And that's one thing that I've sort of been reaffirming to the boys throughout the season is the strength of our team. Not necessarily in skill set, but in the way that we get along and combine to, work together towards a common goal.
So what are the keys, I guess, to, every club that doesn't have one wants to have a great vibe happening in the club rooms, and so much builds off that, but, what are the keys to making that happen?
I think a big hats off has to go to our committee. They do a lot of work in the background in regards to gathering sponsorship and organising events at the club. All the volunteers, the coaching staff and managers, like they care so much for the players and their teams and the club itself. So it's a lot of sacrifice. Like over the summer, we had guys come in and do work out of their back pocket to do up our club rooms and do up our changing sheds and make them look like $1 million. And just walking into a place like that just lifts the standard, I guess, of everyone and gives everyone a bit of care, knowing the effort that's been put in. So it's a lot of hard work and effort from the people behind the scenes that have built the culture. And then obviously the group of boys that we've got there, players, they're awesome. The Bees boys are a really fun bunch, and then the Prems guys, everyone's sort of free to be themselves and gets along really well.
Because it is a little harder, right, as an amalgamated club from which Pirates Old Boys has stemmed. Sometimes you don't necessarily have that sort of multi-generational thing to lean kind of back on, right? So it takes time, doesn't it? You don't just click your fingers, and that sort of thing that you talk about, Jacob, develops as well too. You've got to build it over time. Yeah,
no, it's definitely something that's been built. I obviously had much to do with Pirates or Old Boys individually, but walking into the club, you'd never know that it was amalgamated. I imagine in the early days there was probably a bit of tension between the two clubs, but any of that's definitely gone, and now we're Pirates Old Boys.
What about you personally? How did you end up at Pirates Old Boys? Because I think obviously you were at Gore High. I think you captained Gore High, and then
good lad. Good lad.
And I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
You captained Nick High. Gore High.
Well, I'll bore Jacob with these stories later.
You're obviously part of the Rugby Southland academy system, and then you went to Dunedin. That's right. So what was that rugby journey from leaving Gore High to ending up at Pirates Old Boys? How did that sort of pan out?
Yeah, so I had the luxury of going to Gore High. Great school, doesn't exist anymore under the same name. So obviously Manawa College now. But then went up to uni. I had an operation on my shoulder at the end of my last year at school, so I was sort of carrying that into university, and I think I got 4 games in my first year at uni playing for the varsity club, and then played 2 more years for the premier team up there, and then sort of I had changed my course. I had 2 papers left to do, but they were in the second semester up in Dunedin, which was 2022. So I was having a chat with my partner, and we were talking about what I wanted to do, and I was sort of saying I wanted to give rugby a crack and sort of wanted to come home. So went and did that. I moved back to Southland, got in contact with Ben McHugh, who coached me through rep level at Southland. So obviously with him being tied in with Pirates Old Boys, that's the club that I went to. Did a bit of labouring for him while I was first down here, and then managed to get the job at Alliance, and that's how I ended up at Pirates Old Boys.
You're still a young fella. I'm guessing is the Stag still on the aspirations?
Yeah, it would be awesome. I'm just this year particularly, I think I've made it a priority of making sure that I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I think it was awesome when I first came down here to be involved in the academy and high performance stuff, and just the support and the systems that they've put in that place in terms of training and gym and things like that. But this year to be able to sort of take a step back and enjoy my rugby and enjoy being part of this team has been something that I've really valued. But obviously any kid growing up in Southland, it's the dream to put on a maroon and gold jersey. So if that ever came my way, I'd be stoked.
So talk about the weekend and Star. What's your sort of take in terms of how preparations are going, and what you're going to throw at them on the weekend?
Yeah, the Star they've been a really, really quality side in the competition to date. They've recruited really well, and obviously the coaching staff and support staff they've brought in there have done a good job of getting the boys fit and putting a good game plan around them. So we're definitely not underestimating the challenge that's ahead of us, but I guess it's also knowing that we have the skill and ability that's got us to this point, so why can we not go one step further? So there's a lot of excitement around the camp. Everyone's, as I said at the start, everyone's really stoked to have earned the opportunity to go back and try and win the Galbraith Shield again. In terms of focuses for this week, I think discipline and territory are going to be key points of the game. Whoever can put the other side under pressure for sustained periods is probably going to come away with the chockies. So that's been a big focus for us in this training on Tuesday and going forward into Thursday. But I guess it's just building clarity, building a bit of confidence, and going into Saturday knowing that we've got the ability to do it and just putting that out on the paddock.
And you've got the ability to be pretty free, right? Because let's be honest, you'll go in as underdogs for it as well. So that's I bet you is a situation that actually you're embracing.
Yeah. There's nothing to lose at the end of the game. It's end of the day. It's another game of rugby. We've played 14 so far, so we can go out there and do it again. The personalities and the playing styles that we have in our team, like I mentioned earlier, with some of the guys in our backline and our full pack, there's quite a high skill level. So playing without structure, or just playing sort of what we see in front of us, and like you said, just going out there with nothing to lose, I think we can be quite dangerous.
I guess, you look at those 2 games you played against them, and the last one a few weeks ago was hard to get a gauge because you guys obviously had a lot of players out, but they were really physical, weren't they? And they were. I'm thinking about that, even that first game I watched them play. So you guys will know what's sort of coming, and I guess that's, if you can match them on that sort of front, you'll be pretty confident. You've got the guys like GD and Joe Thompson and the likes. But I guess from those 2 games, you'll sort of know what's coming now.
Yeah, they're definitely a very physical forward pack, and they've got some great talent in their back line as well. So I guess that is the challenge for us as a forward pack, to show some of the physicality that we did against Barbars in terms of our set piece, but then also around the field, knowing that what they are going to bring and that we're going to have to match that as well. So I guess that's a bit of a mental thing that we'll have to do, be prepared for on Saturday, is that they are going to be physical, they are going to bring a lot of line speed, and it's just how do we combat that and how do we match them in those areas.
A lot of supporters tend to come out of the woodwork at this time of the season. Who do you think will have the edge in terms of the support around the sidelines? And
yeah, it'll be interesting. As I mentioned earlier with the club, we've got amazing support throughout all of our games. The amount of people that are on the sideline is awesome. So I've got no doubt that there'll be plenty of baby blue and black around Les George Oval on Saturday. And I'm hoping that they'll be louder. I know that our Bees boys, unfortunate for them to miss the final, but they will be bringing a lot of noise and a lot of heat to the sidelines, I imagine. So looking forward to see what they come up with.
Put a couple of thousand people into the Les George too, and it will feel like it's
It'll be a
absolute
cauldron.
cauldron.
What do you reckon? So what would 2 in a row mean, mate?
Oh, it would mean everything. I think it would be amazing for the club to break the drought from 06 last year. Like there's a lot of boys in there, like Craig Smith, who came to the club in 2007, so he played over 200 games and hadn't won one. So last year was massive. So to go out there and be able to win another one would just be immense, very special.
Well, you've done the first part, and that's justifiably earned the right to defend that title or to go and win another one. More to the point, mate. Hey, thanks for joining us. Do appreciate it and the insights, and good luck for the weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Nice, go well.
Righto, let's now move into the Star Camp, and we'll bring in their skipper, Jordan Stewart. Mate, how you feeling after the weekend? Have you boys bounced back all right?
Yeah, I think everyone seems to be all right. It's a pretty exciting week. A lot of young guys in the campaign haven't been in this position before, and it's pretty exciting to see how they go and how they soak it in. And of course, still plenty of a few guys that have been in and around that environment before. So it's exciting stuff. But in our camp, all good so far. So.
What do you say to those guys, those young guys, to sort of keep their feet on the ground, but also ensure they're going to enjoy it?
Embrace it. I mean, you guys could probably see that one coming, but yeah, you just got to really sink your teeth in and just enjoy the week, eh? Finals do funny things to people, eh? But you just can't let it get on top of it. Just at the end of the day, some bit of advice for those guys is it's just another game. So, enjoy every minute of it is probably the best advice I'd be giving out. So.
Because when I sort of look at it, you think, Stars won a lot of Galbraith Shield titles, but it's been a bit of a drought, 2015, I think is the last time.
Yeah, 2015. So what's that, 9 years? So it has been, and I think that was my first year, was 2015, and I've played in 5 finals and only won one. So we need to change those odds a wee bit. It's not looking that great. So yeah.
Give us the rundown about those 4. What were those games? Go back
you
and
don't want to
remember
talk about that one.
There's a few. There's probably about 4 of them I don't want to talk about, to be honest with you. There was one year we played Marist, and it was the first time they actually won it for a long time, and they were definitely up. I think it might have been 2 years before is when we won it, 2015, and they definitely hurt from that, and they were up. So I think it was 20 plus 30 years sort of thing since they'd last won it, so they were definitely up. So that was a hard one. And another one was Blues, another few years later. They obviously they had a few big milestones that year, and they wanted to tick it off. So they were another one that one hurt as well. But and the other 2 had just been Woodlands. One we got absolutely cleaned up. I think it was about 70 points.
That's right.
I think we still managed to score about 4 tries, which is pretty. There's over 100 points scored in the final, which is pretty unreal. And then another one was, I think Save's just touched on there, is we sort of bombed the final too. So they were sort of down in cattle that day, but they just proved whoever turns up on the day can win. So, and that's what they definitely done. So yeah.
Well, I don't want to
Sorry to
I
put you
don't want to
through
open
that.
up too many ones. I think they scored like 3 tries in the last final 5
Oh,
minutes.
yeah.
Right? Anyway,
Like I said, I've tried to block it out.
Yeah.
But, yeah, something like that.
There's a wee bit of fuel there, though, right? Is there? I suppose there is for you personally, and when I make you go through that.
Yeah, no, correct. Yeah, no, definitely need to get that percentage up. So, yeah, no, look, long time since the club won it. You know, Pirates Old Boys have come off fresh last year, which is a huge occasion for them, and no doubt they'll be up for it. But yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of fuel in our camp to try and get this one done because we've had a reasonably good season, a couple of losses along the way, but yeah, I'm hoping we can sort things out on Saturday and go the whole way.
because it's been probably a couple challenging few years for Star in terms of, you know, like, and I think probably missed out on the semis last year, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously things have turned around a little. Braden's come in as Mitchell's come in as coach. You picked up some new players. Well, what do you see the keys to the change from the last few years to this year?
I mean, like it's just sort of felt like we've been going through a rebuilding stage, and we started to get traction and get a few good guys, and then next minute they leave again, and a lot of guys are left for different opportunities and stuff like that. So I think the focus around the coaching group this year was to find guys who really want to hang around and give the Southland rugby a bit of a crack. And by the sounds of it, well, obviously as it seems that we've got a few guys doing that, so hopefully we can hang on to them guys as well. But it's just basically player retention, like we've just had a lot of guys come and go, and look, and that happens. You get that in all walks of life, you know, whether it's work or whether it is rugby. So yeah, this year that they've really focused and got into the recruiting early and not leaving it too late, like as opposed to probably what we have done in the last few years, you know, doing it in January or February for that matter. So yeah, hats off to the management and coaching group have got into that early, because having these extra guys who have come down to have a crack has definitely made the difference.
Andrew McHugh's probably racked up a decent phone ball in the off-season, ringing around.
We won't give him too much credit, but yeah, the rest of the... I think there's a few other guys behind the scenes who do a lot of it. So. Andrew does a fair lot too. I've got to give a wee bit. That's not fair.
Hey, so I mean, if we talk about the weekend, you know, I mean, Woodlands made you work for it. They wouldn't go away in that game, would they? Too. So it's how you want to do. You want to be able to earn your way to the big one.
Yes, correct. I think on the weekend's game, they, you know, Woodlands had a tough season as well. Injuries, you know, like if you put their 1 to 15 with the guys they've got on their books in the paddock, they're a hard team to beat. And as they've shown the last few years, they definitely are. Having a few key leaders back for the weekend, like Liam and Joey Walsh and stuff, that made the difference. And they definitely, they pushed us. But yeah, it was just about controlling. The rub of the green wasn't going our way. There's also a few older heads in their team who know how to get round the ruck and persuade the refs' decisions. But it's all about overcoming that. And we've got a lot of young guys who probably haven't seen that a lot and probably seen that in the weekend. So it's been mentioned that, you know, that finals go quick. So you've just got to be able to adapt to situations. Anything's going to come at you. There's going to be calls. There's going to be outrageous things happen. So yeah, but pleased we got it done on the weekend, but yes, they made us work for it, definitely.
And was that a bit of a change, I guess, to games earlier in the season where, you know, there was a feeling that you guys were sort of dropping away in second halves a little bit? You sort of got it done in a different way in that semi.
Yes, yeah. So that's probably the first game. I know, but apart from 2 games we lost, which were to Barbars, one at the start of the year and one just recently, you know, apart from that, the other games we've won by a reasonable score margin, you know. And that game was probably, apart from the ones we've lost, obviously, it's taken us right to the edge. So, yeah, it's probably a good thing it's happened now. I think the boys are wary of it, the men in the team. So, but yeah, no, it's been up and down. And there was a stage there where we sort of try to utilise a lot of the bench and get connections going and as you guys know, like having different guys come into the team and maybe running a first 5 with a second 5 that aren't always playing together is always hard. So working those connections is probably the big thing that was sort of damaging our second halves. But I felt like in the last couple of weeks we sort of have tidied it up and got things working pretty well. So.
How fun has it been to be playing with young Supremacy? Like, we obviously got to see a bit of him last year with the Stags, but now he's come down this year and played the full club season down here. But he looks like a type of player that he's sort of probably in your mould in terms of you really enjoys getting off the defensive line and whacking guys. How much have you enjoyed having him alongside you in that?
Oh yeah, no, he's a great player, mate. You feel like you're racing for him to make a tackle, and half the time he's probably tackled the bloke you're supposed to be tackling. So he plays with a lot of heart and a lot of energy, and I think he's got a big future. But yeah, no, he's definitely made a difference, and you definitely know when he's on the field as opposed when he's not playing. He puts in a bloody good shift, and he's as physical as they come. So yeah, no, really good to be playing with a young bloke like that, and still really young too, eh? And so I think he's got a lot to give to the game.
Who are the other players, I guess, and perhaps the unsung guys that have helped you get through to this stage of the season?
Oh, there's a couple of guys that come to mind. There's a guy, he's a midfield 12, 10, 13. Daniel Lowe, he's same again. Like, you can't, if you're in the back line with him, you can't make a tackle because he's screaming to make tackles. And he's the sort of bloke that he throws his body on the line, and yeah, probably doesn't get mentioned too much, but yeah, I think he's a great footballer. A wee bit older than a few guys, but and a big league man too. So he brings that soul to this code, and I think he's probably one of the guys that I think we played Marist last game of the year and last game against them for the season, and the guy would have made 30 or 40 tackles. As the guy who was playing 12, 10 that day, it's pretty unreal. So I think he's definitely a guy that probably goes a wee bit unnoticed, but when you're playing alongside him, you definitely know he's out there. Another guy is probably young Lockie Springford. He's been a star man through and through his whole life. He's quite a bit shorter than Lurchie. Playing down in the locking department with him. But another man just gets into his work, hitting rucks, all that sort of stuff that goes unseen. He's definitely a man that hooks in and can go all day. So yeah, I'd say those two lads are probably ones who don't get enough praise, but they do the damage.
Nice.
I would imagine that yourself, Josh, you talk about, some of those key experienced guys have got quite a role this week then, right? If you've got younger guys and a team that hasn't necessarily been there, that's going to be a pretty important factor for you to get those guys in the right space, I guess, for the weekend. That be fair?
Yeah, definitely. I think having someone like Lurchie and Josh in the team, he knows he's been in these games before, and he's been in big moments, and he's played at a high level and played a long time at the high level. So his knowledge and nous around the game and areas is huge, and quite often, even though I'm the skipper, I look to Lurchie to go, what are we doing here, mate? What do you think? So I think a lot of guys look up to him on the team. I definitely do. He's a campaigner, and he still seems like he'll be playing a few more years. But yeah, look, for the young guys coming through, it's just calming the nerves and picking your moment, I think. So that's what we're sort of been, passing back on to them. Just take your moment as it comes. Opportunity always overrides. If you see something, just go with it. So but basically enjoy the moment and enjoy the week. So yeah.
Have you obviously the two games this season you've given them a decent tallying up, and the last game was probably a little bit of a false sort of sense of security maybe, given that wasn't their frontline team. But have you talked about it? Because it could be easy to, I guess, subconsciously sort of think, oh, we've given these guys a decent shake up before, we should be able to do it again this weekend.
Yeah. No, another thing to be mentioned is not getting complacent. The same again. When they've got their full team on, the field, they're a very strong side with some great guys who can move that ball around the park and kicking wires and stuff like that. So, we've sort of forgot about what's happened throughout the season, and we're just focusing forward to this week. Although we are saying another game, but we can't look back to the past and see what's happened before, because if we look too much back into the past, we'll see that I've lost 4 out of 5. So we're just going to go forward.
You don't have to bring it up again.
You've sort of fired me up now, mate, so I'm just going to keep it on the back of my mind.
Triggered him. Braden Mitchell's not that far from having taken the boots off. What's he sort of brought to the coaching role this year?
He's definitely brought something different. Half the time you don't know. If he could start himself, he would. I feel like he wants to play. And the bloke generally wants to play, and he said that. And unfortunately, due to a bad injury, it forced him to retire. But he wants to give back to the game, and at the moment he's, I'm enjoying the way he's doing things. He's pretty open. He's not scared to have those conversations, although it might be a wee bit harder for him. But he's bringing definitely. He wants people to play footy. He doesn't want to be too much structured. He just wants people to get round, express themselves, and just take each opportunity as it comes. So I don't know if you guys know, but we've actually got 3 hookers and a number 8 in our coaching staff. So we've got Greg Pleasance-Tate, obviously Braden Mitchell, Cullen Rutledge, another man who's our fitness trainer, who played a lot of games for Star, and we've got Mark McHugh, who's actually played a couple of times at hooker as well. So if you look at that, that's our coaching group. So
when did Merv have to pack down in the?
I don't think
that's a while.
I don't think he ever packed down, but I know for a fact that he's thrown a few line-out balls in. Yeah.
Having a Rutledge as a fitness trainer just sounds like an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, it does.
I imagine he joins in too, does he?
Oh yeah. No, he's been really, really good, and that's probably been another thing for us. Is recent years we've sort of got away with probably not doing too much in pre-season, and he's made sure that that's not the case, that we are working hard, and I think that's sort of paying dividends for us throughout the season. We are lasting that second half, we're not dying away, so he's been really good to the group. He's been a bloody good ad, so yeah.
You mentioned with Nathan before about the unsung heroes in the team. Is there a couple of guys or a guy from what you've seen from this season that you think that can go and make a real impact at that next level?
There's definitely some guys coming through, like Supremacy. Obviously, I think he's got what it takes. He's a hard worker. He's physical. If he puts it on, and if he gets the opportunity to go to the next level, I think he won't shy away. There's another guy, obviously